All right, welcome to another episode of the Rapture Hour. This is where we talk about the rapture for 1 hour. So if you could tarry with me for 1 hour, I would greatly appreciate it. If you're one of those people that like watching videos with closed captioning, usually it takes a few minutes after I upload the video, and then YouTube will do its thing and transcribe every word that I say, and it should be available shortly. So if you don't see closed captioning within a few minutes of me uploading, that is why. So welcome. Uh, Before we get started, make sure and click the subscribe button, click the notification bell. That way, anytime I upload a video, you'll be notified. Usually I upload a couple of times a day. Some people like that. They like to listen as they're going to work. That's why I make these long form videos. It's so that you can watch it when you're on the train, on the bus, you're driving, you're flying, whatever it is. And with closed captioning, you can actually put the volume down and you can actually see or read what I am talking about. So that's kind of a cool function. So we're getting people messaging me from all over the place, especially yesterday, because I was asking the question, where were you during the time of September 11th, 2001? I remember it vividly, vividly. And today I want to talk about watch times because there's a few of them. And Jesus actually mentions four of them in the Bible. So if this is your thing, again, make sure and subscribe, make sure and leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from, because I really appreciate that. I like seeing where people are from. All right, let's go to the scriptures. Make sure and grab yourself a cup of coffee, grab some water, and sit back, relax, chill. I try to think outside the box whenever I make my videos. I'm always thinking from different angles. So let's go to Mark, I think it is. Yeah, Mark. I'm going to read from Mark chapter 13, Signs of the Times. And usually I read from Matthew 24 or Luke 21. Today I'm going to read Mark chapter 13. And as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples saith unto him, Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here. Jesus answering said unto him, Seest thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another, and shall not be thrown down, that shall not be thrown down. As he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately. So the four of them asked Jesus privately, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Jesus answering them began to say, Take heed, lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be. So when Jesus is talking about wars and rumors of wars, there's two ways to look at it. You can talk about the idea that you're going to hear of wars. Obviously, we've heard of wars. World War One, World War Two, the Vietnam War, Balkans War, all kinds of wars. A war in Ukraine seems to be going on forever. And then you're also going to be hearing about rumors of wars. Rumors of wars are not just the idea that there's a rumor going around that there could be a war. It's not what that means. A rumor is someone that is actually creating a fake war. So there's going to be fake wars created where people are not going to know whether or not it happened. They'll just be listening, whether it's on the media or whatever, that this happened over here, and you won't be able to verify it. So that's what rumors means if you look it up. It's basically manipulating people's ideas, putting them into fear, and it may or may not have happened. All right. For nation shall rise up against nation, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places. Divers places means unique places, places that you would never think of. And I mentioned this. When was this? Oh, this is a few months ago. I think it was back in February or something like that, where I was saying it feels like we're due for a big earthquake in a place that we would never think of. And there's always going to be earthquakes on Earth, and it seems like there's getting more and more. But I'm not talking about the places that you would expect an earthquake. Like there are some towns, some cities that are on certain fault lines that you know mathematically within the next 100 years, let's just say, that there's a pretty good chance that that place is going to get an earthquake. Now, I don't know if Morocco was one of those places where it was unique, as in it would never happen here. I'm not sure. I'd have to do some research on that. Maybe if you, the audience, if you know that, how many times Morocco has had an earthquake, and if it's once in the last 1,000 years, I would say that's a diver's place. If an earthquake were to happen in Calgary, that's a diver's place. If it were to happen in Saskatoon, that's a diver's place, because it's as far as I know, they've never had an earthquake. All right, so that's what diver's places is. And there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. So if you see these kind of things happening, these are just the beginnings, the birth pains, if you will. If you ever see a woman in labor, my daughter was in labor 3 months ago, 3 months ago, you know the baby's coming. You just don't know what hour. But you know, as soon as as soon as the water breaks, you know it's imminent. You know that. And some women can be in labor for days. Some women can be in labor for hours. You don't know. Each woman is different. Some can give birth on the way to the hospital. All you know is the baby's coming. It's 9 months. The baby's coming. Some babies come early. Some babies come later. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Verse 9. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils. In the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for testimony against them. And the gospel must first be published among all the nations. Now, if you're reading from Matthew 24, Luke 21, you're going to see a little bit of a different lens, if you will, on Jesus talking about the signs of the end times. I'm not sure if it's Luke or Matthew, but Jesus basically says, you're going to see all these things happen. Birth pains, if you will. Earthquakes in diverse places, pestilence, all this kind of stuff, troubles. But before that happens, so Jesus tells you what's going to happen first and then backs up. It's kind of the style of God, if you think about it. God tells you what happens before it happens, and then he explains how it's going to happen. That's just part of his DNA, like Father, like Son. So this is how Jesus talks, even in the book of Revelation. When you read chapter 1, you see what happened basically at the very end. And then John goes into his vision, what he saw, and writes everything down. But basically, if you want to know the end, we win. So that's why you flip to the book of Revelation from time to time as you go to the last chapter and you're like, we win. We win. So this is how Jesus speaks. A lot of times he tells people what's going to happen before it happens. So when it happens, you can get a greater appreciation for God because nothing is out of his control. All right. Or testimony against them. And the gospel must first be preached to all nations. Verse 11. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. Excuse me. If you have, again, make sure and subscribe. Make sure and leave a comment. Let me know where you're from. And share these videos with other people. Get their input. Get their feedback. It's always important. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak, neither do ye premeditate, but whatsoever shall be given you in that hour that ye speak, that speak ye, for it is not yet ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. So clearly here, Jesus is talking about persecution for his name's sake. Again, in other versions, Luke, Gospel of Luke, Gospel of Matthew, Jesus tells you what's going to happen, and then he backs up and says, but before all that stuff, you're going to be persecuted. Paul talks about praying for him, and there's tribulation and all this kind of stuff. He's been through tribulation. That is different when you're being persecuted for your faith than the wrath of God coming upon the earth with 75 to 100-pound hailstones coming from heaven, falling on people, and people lifting up their fists towards God and cussing him as they're being crushed by these stones. That is great tribulation. That is the wrath of God coming down upon people that don't like him at all, that hate him. They blaspheme his name. The Antichrist will blaspheme not only his name, but he will also blaspheme those that live in heaven. So you got to think about that. And you got to read the Bible slowly sometimes. The Antichrist is upset at people that are living in heaven. Why? I think part of that is because of the rapture. This is why he is angry towards heaven. And he's probably going to put a spin on it and flip it over to say those aliens, can't stand those aliens. They took so many of our good people. But I promise you, I vow that you will never be abducted again. And we're going to do everything we can to protect you. We got a new currency coming. We're going to divvy up all the land because there are a lot of people that got abducted, have their homes that are vacant. They have cars that they're not using. Some homes have 3-4 cars, and that's got to go somewhere. So it probably goes back to the financial institutions, back to the dealerships, and they're going to have a surplus. So when you have a surplus, prices come down. You're going to have more food available. Why? Because the Christians are gone. You're going to have more jobs available. And if you have a digital currency of some sort, it's very easy to say, look, we're doing something new. Everybody gets a home. We're going to pay for it. The government is going to pay for your home. You do not have to worry about shelter. And we also have a program in place where you're going to be fed for the next 3 months, 90 days. Why 3 months? Because it's easier for people to grasp when they're getting small paychecks from the government. And the government is telling you, stay in your home. We got satellites up there protecting you, but we need you to stay in your home for a while because we're actually combing the earth for these aliens that have abducted people. I know it sounds like science fiction, but go with me on this because this is why you subscribe to this channel. I think outside the box. I'm trying to create reasons why people would be okay with the idea of us being gone. And I'm telling you, it would be minutes before people would miss us. That's it. It wouldn't be days, weeks, months, years. It'd be minutes. You throw a lot of cash into people's bank accounts. You start telling them that you don't have to work. You can stay at home. And we're going to provide you because we're trying to protect you in the name of peace, in the name of safety. We need you to stay home. And we're going to give you homes. We're going to give you transportation. We're going to take care of you. But we just need you to stay home for a couple of months. Not very long, maybe a month. But really, it's going to be 3.5 years. You get people staying in their home for 3.5 years, you get a different society. You get a society that's dependent on the government for everything, handouts, whatever it is. And if you want to stay at home and be provided for, you will have to take a mark. Now, we don't know what that mark is. I don't think it's a tattoo of 666 on your forehead. And I don't think it's a needle. I think it could be something a little bit more subtle, but a little bit more obvious at the same time, where you're going to have to make a decision. Do you want wealth dumped into your bank account? If you don't, you're going to have to leave your home to scavenge for food. And if you're leaving your home because you don't take the mark, you're going to be a target. Authorities are going to come up to you and ask you for your digital ID. Maybe they'll take a blood sample. Maybe they'll take a scan of your eyes and say, any particular reason why you don't have the mark of the beast? Yeah, I'm actually a believer of Jesus Christ. No problem. No problem at all. We understand. We respect everybody's decision to believe in multiple faiths. We understand it. Come this way with me. Come here. Just come into this vehicle. We're going to go downtown. We're just going to ask you a few questions and then we're going to take you home. That's it. No problem. But you're not going to make it home. You're not. You're never going to see your family again. So I think this is one of the easiest ways to cause people to obey. You take their food away from you, and grocery stores only have maximum 1 day's worth of groceries. 1 day. Why? Because at least 5 days a week, they are receiving orders. I know I deliver products. I drive a truck for a living. A grocery store will not make it past one day. Their shelves will be empty. There will be nothing in the store within 24 hours. So where do you think that food is going to come from if you don't take the mark? You're going to starve. And there are organizations out there that are like, we're going to teach you how to survive. And I'm telling you, when the pandemic hit, there were neighbors watching their neighbor and counting during Thanksgiving how many people were in their home. During Christmas, they would count cars. And some people would actually call it in. They would call the police and say, my neighbor has a barbecue and he has some friends over. And it would turn out that the friends are actually their kids that actually live with them, but they would waste time and resources by sending police over there to tell them, hey, are you being safe right now? Don't think that's not going to happen after we're out of here. They're going to dump money into your bank accounts. There's going to be homes that are going to be like half price. They're going to be available for you at the lowest rates that you've ever heard of in your life. You're going to be able to finance cars, electric cars that can be controlled by organizations. They could just shut off the car on you while you are driving to try and get food. They could say, you are not in the district that you should be. Please turn around. And there could be an alert on your phone that says you're out of the zone that you should be in. That was really a couple years ago. It was just a testing ground to see how easy people would turn on each other. And we had a mayor that was actually encouraging people to rat on other people, to look over their fence and tell the authorities whoever is not being safe. That was nothing compared to what you're going to experience during these times that Jesus is mentioning. All right, got to continue here. Now, the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So clearly he's talking about Jacob's trouble, a 7-year tribulation where there's going to be trouble upon the earth like you could never imagine. This isn't something that happened before, although there were probably pockets of time where bad things were happening. I think of World War II in Germany, where there were many Germans that were actually protecting Jews by hiding them. And neighbors would call on them and say, I think those people there are hiding Jews. Authorities would come, they would find the Jews, and they would arrest the Germans and take them away. How many times do you think that needs to happen before you stop hiding Jews? In the future, how many times do you think it's going to happen before you stop hiding people that believe in Jesus Christ? Because again, I believe that people will come to the Lord during the Great Tribulation, but there's no rapture now because it already happened. And usually when you have a black swan event, like I believe the rapture is going to be the greatest black swan event of all time next to the Lord's second coming. But I believe when that happens, what happens after a black swan event is everybody thinks that black swan event is going to happen every single day for the next 2-3 years, at least. That happened with 9/11. The next day we thought, is there another building going down? Are they going to crash more planes? All planes were landed because we couldn't take a chance in having another plane hijacked, used, by whatever agency to take out another building. So why? Because they were fearful it was going to happen again. So they eliminated that obstacle. And if you were trying to cross the border, it was very difficult. You needed all kinds of ID. That's what we're saying happens after a Black Swan event. So after we get abducted by aliens, they're going to think that people are going to be abducted for the next 3.5 years. There's going to be a panic in the market. And the only way for governments to protect people is by saying that we are taking care of you so that this does not happen again. We're not going to let it happen again. So we need to protect you. The easiest way to protect you is to give you money and give you security and give you food. Man, if you have 3 square meals a day, you're not going to leave your house. I promise you. And those that leave their house, they are going to be a marked citizen. The authorities will find you no problem. With cell phones, are you kidding me? They track us already every single day. So you think you're going to navigate without a cell phone? Most people need GPS to navigate. They don't. I get lost a lot of times. So, man, it's not going to be fun. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Excuse me. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field turn back again for to take up his garment. Why? Because when the Antichrist is finally revealed upon the earth, it's going to take place in Jerusalem in the temple. They'll probably have a temple by this time. It'll probably be financed by the Antichrist. And the Jews are going to be happy because there's a peace treaty that's signed probably 3.5 years earlier. There is peace and prosperity over the whole world because Christians are gone. Those pesky Christians. Once they're out of here, man, now we got peace. We don't have people telling you, hey, what you're doing is wrong. You shouldn't do that. You're going to have things that are just wide open prosperity like you could never imagine here on earth. And 3.5 years in, the Antichrist finally reveals his true colors, if you will, to the world. And this is when Jesus is saying, if you are in Judea, get out of there. Don't go to Jerusalem. If you're on your rooftop, get out of there. Get out of there. Then let them be in Judea, flee to the mountains. Let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house. Don't get anything. Don't get your clothes. Nothing. Just leave. Neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. Don't go back and get your clothes because this is a horrible day when this happens. Just think about it. The Antichrist is basically declaring himself God. Woe to them that are with child. This is a bad time to have children in this day. Not today. Today is still a good time. We're under grace. Have children. But in the tribulation, it's not going to be easy for pregnant women. That's all that this is saying. If you are in this time frame, the Antichrist reveals himself to be God. The Jews realize they're being betrayed and they flee. This is not going to be a good time for women that have a child. Why? Because it's hard to leave. Woe to them that are with child and to them that give suck in those days. And pray, ye that your flight be not in the winter. For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of creation, which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And except that the Lord had shortened those days, which is basically, to me, it's 3.5 years left on the planet. No flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. Remember, in the book of Revelation, it talks about 144,000 of the elect, 12,000 from each tribe of Israel, are sealed. So I believe that's who Jesus is talking about, the elect's sake. I don't believe he's talking about us Christians, because again, we're out of there. And if any man shall say to you, lo, here is Christ, or there he is, as in the Messiah, don't believe him. For false Christs and false prophets shall rise and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. What's Jesus saying? You can look up now. Because there are going to be false messiahs saying, come over here. In secret, come over here. But instead, people that are left on earth should be looking up, because the second coming is imminent. Take ye hold, behold, I have foretold you all these things, all things. But in those days after the tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. So this is going to happen after those days are over, after the 7 years of tribulation. Now you're going to get organizations like FAI Studios saying that after this happens, after the sun gets darkened and the moon doesn't give its light, then comes the rapture. My question is, how much faith do you have left in the tank after 7 years of hell on earth? The highest point of faith right now is when it's easy. That's when your faith should be at its highest. There's no faith used when you're running and trying to survive, and you're shooting at people, you're defending yourself, you're running and hiding and all. There's no faith involved. That is simply strategy. You're not considering God. Right now, in this age of grace, this is where you need the most faith. Why? Because it's easy to walk away from God right now. It's easy not to pick up your Bible and study his word till your eyes bleed. It's easy now. Why? Because you don't have to. And that's the thing about Christianity that's different from any other faith. Every other faith puts you in a position where when you're in trouble, then you go. And I'm saying this is the time to be paying attention to Jesus Christ and learn about him. Do it when it's easy. Fill up your tank right now, because you're not going to be able to do it when you're running from the law every single day. You're going to be in fear. Take heed of, foretold you this, but in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. So this is where we talk about the restoration of heaven. Heaven is not a perfect place right now. Why? Because the devil and a third of the angels are corrupt. They are going to be shaken out of heaven one day. And when they come down to earth, they are not going to be happy, because when they turn around, they're going to try and go back up to heaven, and they will lose their spot. They will lose their room, their authority, and they'll just be like anyone else. In fact, there'll be many that will probably turn on the devil and go, look at you, the one that deceived all the nations. You're just like us. You're just like us. So this is where, again, this is where Christianity differs from every religion. We believe that we are going up to heaven to occupy rooms above the principalities, above the powers, above the rulers of the air. Why? Because we are joint heirs in Christ. We have a seat in heaven. Just read the book of Ephesians. It's a short letter. Take you 15 minutes to read it and find out what our vocation is. Our vocation today is to edify each other, build each other up, so that when the Lord's appearing happens, we will be taken with him to be with him forever in heaven. And those that have died in Christ, the first fruits, that's what first fruits means. It means the best of the best of your crop. It's not just one time. Every year, when you have a crop, whenever you harvest a percentage of it, that is called the first fruits. So there are many first fruits, many. It could be wheat, it could be meat, it could be yourself, whatever it is, whatever you dedicate your time. Those are all first fruits. Now, I know I'm going to get people messaging me saying, no, that's not what first fruits is. It's only one time. Jesus was the first fruits. And it's like, yeah, but you got to understand that Jesus was a template of what was going to follow. Meaning, if you die in Jesus Christ, you die in Christ, you get resurrected instantaneously. Why? Because that's what happened to Jesus. He got a new glorified body, a new spiritual body. This is what we get when we die. The powers of heaven shall be shaken. So this is immediately after the tribulation now. Verse 26, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And those clouds, I believe, are us, his army as well, his angels. Thousands upon thousands are coming in the clouds. It's not just coming by himself. Then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four corners, from the four winds, from the uttermost part of heaven to the uttermost part of heaven, uttermost part of earth to the uttermost part of heaven. And I believe Jesus is quoting Deuteronomy 30, I believe, where Moses is saying, if you don't obey God, he will scatter you under heaven to the uttermost parts of earth, but one day he's going to bring you back. And I believe this is what this is happening. It's not taking people to heaven. The Jews get a piece of real estate. If you talk to them about heaven, they're going to think you're crazy unless they are a Christian. Why? Because they were always promised a piece of real estate. We as Christians were never promised a piece of real estate here on earth. We're always promised heaven. Now, one day we will be able to come back and forth when heaven is combined with earth, new heaven, new earth. But right now, it's separate. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near. In fact, right now, we know fall is near. So in like manner, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you that this generation shall not pass till all these things be done. What generation? The generation that sees this is what I believe. This tribulation will not pass. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. What does this mean? This means that this is a promise that everything is going to be fulfilled. If heaven and earth were able to pass away, disappear, disintegrate, then that means his words would not come true. This is a play on words that God even himself would say. Like father, like son. God would say things like, if you can measure the heavens, then I won't keep my promise to Israel. If you can measure the depth of the earth, then I won't keep my promise with Israel. That's what he's saying here. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. It's a play on words. He's saying that's not going to happen until my words are fulfilled. People have to understand that whatever has been prophesied is going to happen no matter what we do. It's coming. So, verse 32, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. So we're talking again about the tribulation, and we don't know when the Son of God is coming back, at what hour, what day. That's what Jesus is talking about, in that day. We're not talking about the Lord's appearing. We're not talking about the rapture. We're talking about that day. Because again, the disciples asked him, what's going to happen in that day? But the Father, take ye heed, watch, and pray. This is what we miss. For ye know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning. So now we get 4 watch times. So it's probably set up back in the days of Rome, but they're basically guards that would watch at these times: evening, midnight, cock crowing, or in the morning. Lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. So he's talking about the end times. He's talking about you don't know when the Lord is coming. You don't know when this is going to happen, the 7-year tribulation. He's saying, watch, pay attention. Why would he tell us watch if no one's going to know? Why would he say that? It's because you don't know which time he's going to come. It could be in the evening. It could be in the morning. It could be when the cock crows. Who knows when? Could be at midnight. Don't know. I'm going to wrap this up real quick with one little thought. Again, hope you get something out of this. I really do. There was a day, when was it? Probably a few weeks ago, where there was an Amber Alert. And my phone went off. And it was crazy because it wouldn't stop. It just kept going. It would stop, and then maybe 5-10 minutes later, another one. But I wanted to just show you something real quick here. Let's see here if I can figure this out. Let me try something here. What time is it right now? Let me try something. Bear with me for 1 second here. Okay, watch this. Watch this here. Listen to this. This is in 10 seconds. Listen to this here. See if you can hear this. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Well, that's not the right alarm. This one here. Hang on here. That's not the right alarm. This is the one I wanted here. I'll show you. Nope, that's not the one. Where did it go? That's not it. Oh man. Hmm. I can't find the alarm. I was going to share with you. I'll find it. Can't do two things at once. But anyways, when the Amber Alert happened, everybody's phone was vibrating, and it was almost like your phone was frozen for a second, where you had to pay attention to the message. I think this is going to happen in the future, where they're going to run tests. Now, there is a rumor going on that in 2 days, 48 hours, there's going to be a worldwide test. Go look it up for yourself. Called a Black Swan event test. It's an EMP test. In case the world gets interrupted with an EMP attack, a strike, they're going to send a message out to everyone. Don't ask me how, if all electricity is wiped out. But they're going to send a message out saying this is a test. This is a drill of an impending EMP attack. So they're going to get people prepared that there's going to be a worldwide event, because maybe there's a threat. Maybe it's Russia, China, some made up country, whatever it is. They can just make it up. Most likely it could be coming from the US. It could be our own governments. It could be from United Nations. Who knows? It could be the very people that we depend on could be setting this thing up, but they're talking about a worldwide test. So they're mentioning September 14th. This is why I'm telling you that if your phone blows up, as in EMP imminent strike, it's just a test. It's a warning to get you used to the idea that there could be a worldwide EMP strike where all electricity gets wiped out for a season. Could be a day, it could be an hour, whatever it is. But this is what they're talking about wanting to do, is a worldwide EMP test. They call it a Black Swan event. And this is what my whole channel is about. So keep an eye on that over the next couple of days. Today is Tuesday. So most likely on Thursday, over the next couple of days, you'll probably see more news about it, that they're planning these tests. It might be regional at first, but better believe that one day they're going to be doing these tests on a more frequent scale, prepping us for what? For an abduction by aliens. That's what they're going to spin it. That these aliens have technology to wipe out our electricity, and we're going to protect our people. And I believe that when that happens, we go up. When the actual EMP strike happens, because people are going to be in chaos. They're not going to be caring about who left and who stayed. They're going to be thinking, I need water within 72 hours or I'm not going to make it. Then I'll worry about my family and where they went. That's how people are going to think. So, something to think about. It could be just a rumor on the internet, but it looks like this is what things are coming down the pipeline. They already know how to do it with the Amber Alert. If somebody gets kidnapped, the whole province goes on alert, and your phone will continue to vibrate until that child is found. So better believe, if you're trying to walk around without the mark of the beast, that they're going to be saying, there is a fugitive at large, stay inside, protect yourself. That way, anybody that's outside of their home, the authorities can go after and basically arrest you and question you and say, why are you out? Why don't you have the mark of the beast? Is what it is. You don't want to be around in those times. The easiest way to overcome this is to simply believe in Jesus Christ, that he is the Son of God, that he will not hurt himself. He will not hurt the church. He will not strike himself twice. We are his body. It would be crazy for God to hurt his own body. So if you got something out of this, let me know in the comments. Feel free to subscribe. Share this video, pass it along. Feel free to comment. If you do comment, whether it's a good or a bad comment, let me know where you're from. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. See you in another video.